What's going on, CDL fans, and welcome back to the CDL Power Rankings. Today we're updating after seeing week 1 of Major 3 qualifiers, new map pool, bunch of new rosters. Honestly, it was a pretty solid weekend of matches, despite the matchups on paper kind of being a little bit boring for the most part. But let's kind of hop right into this. And if you want to see more CDL content like this, definitely make sure to sub to the channel. We're on the road to 5K subs, and I appreciate all the support. But let's kick it right off with our number 12 team, and it's going to be the Boston Breach, down 2 spots from last week. Boston's the worst team in the league. They're last in the standings. They still can't get a win. I mean, they lost to the Miami Heretics, who most people had as probably the worst or second worst team in the league coming into this split. It's honestly just really disappointing for Boston. You make a 2-person change and you still can't get past a team like Miami, who is probably in a similar tier to you. Obviously, no disrespect to Miami. I mean, they got the dub, and we'll get into them when we get to their team. But for Boston, man, it's just like they just can't seem to close out a series. They can't seem to get anything going. I know Slasher and ASIM were loving watching Boston lose. It's only their first series. You can't really just immediately call this roster a bust, but you definitely wanted to see Boston get their first win here. Then we move up to number 11, up 1 spot. It is the Seattle Surge. They were 12 last week. They're coming up to 11. They were able to defeat the Carolina Royal Ravens this week. Honestly, they looked pretty solid. I would say pretty much this entire bottom half of the standings you could mix and match in a bunch of different ways. Seattle getting the win definitely makes them move up, obviously, in the tier or in the rankings. And honestly, overall, they looked pretty good. 0-4 looked solid. He didn't have the craziest series. He looked like he was making some really good plays in Search and Destroy. And I'm just surprised with how much of an improvement the Surge team kind of looked like they had on the map. They looked a lot more comfortable, despite it just being a 1-person change. So definitely shout out to Seattle. And then coming into number 10, also up 1 spot, it is the Miami Heretics, another team with just a 1-person change. They looked pretty solid. Real looked really, really good. I mean, when it comes to just straight up like teams that like the new players into teams this split, Real probably was the best new player we saw in these teams, I think. Either him or Joe Deceives, most likely. Real looked really, really good. Yes, they were only playing the Boston Breach, but honestly, he was kind of frying. He was putting up a lot of great numbers, great damage. He was making plays for this team, and he was the key component for them winning. Then at number 9, I still have the Minnesota Rocker. I did not move them. You definitely could have moved them down. I mean, they went 0-2 on the weekend, so you could drop them if you would like. But for me, they played FaZe and they played New York, right? They played 2 top 4 teams, and they kind of competed. I know they only won 1 map, obviously. So if you look at like the scoreboard and stuff, it doesn't look great. But if you actually watch the map, it honestly wasn't all too bad when you look at a team that went 0-2 on the weekend and only won 1 map, like I said. So you definitely could drop Minnesota here, but I thought considering the opponents they played, and them still looking decent with a 2-person roster change, I just am not ready to move Miami and Seattle above them. Then coming in at number 8, down 3 spots, it is the LA Gorillas. I gave them respect last week and moved them up a bunch because they got top 6 at the major. These guys are definitely Lanimals. They did not win a single map out of their 2 matches this weekend. Not a great look for LAG. You're going to want to see them kind of step it up, I would say, going forward, but it is what it is. This team is not very good online. Maybe they make a roster change at some point, but I mean, if they're going to continue getting top 6s on LAN, I guess they're going to want to stick. And then similar to LAG at number 7, also down, it is the Carolina Royal Ravens. Ravens, like I said, for LAG, I gave them respect for getting top 6 at the major, but now online, they looked okay. I mean, they obviously ended up losing, especially losing to the Seattle Surge is not great for your first match, but they look okay. They definitely don't look as bad as some other teams in the league, and considering how well they did online, I only dropped them 1 spot. But like I said, I genuinely think this entire row, this entire column that's right next to me on the screen, I think you could move any of the bottom 6 in just about any order that makes sense. I wouldn't argue with you if you pretty much had this in just about any order. But now we get into the top 6, and I honestly think this one is pretty solidified. I think at the very least, this is the top 6 teams in the league right now. The order you want to do them in, I guess there is a bit up for debate, especially in the top 4, maybe. For me, at number 6, it is the Las Vegas Legion, up 1 spot. They went 1-1 on the weekend, and right above them, also up, is the LA Thieves. LAT beat Vegas online last bit. They just beat Vegas online yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever you're watching this, this past weekend. LAT, I think, for me, are solidified as the 5th best team in the league. They almost got reverse swept. I was having a heart attack on the watch party watching these guys play. Don't throw. No, don't throw. Don't throw. Don't throw. What are we tweaking? We're tweaking. We just tweaked. We just tweaked. We just tweaked. No way, bro. Oh my god, there's no way they just did that. They ended up getting the job done. I really, really think that this LA Thieves team has the potential to stay as a top 5 team, get a top 6 on land, but we're gonna have to see them perform on land, right? They've gotten back-to-back top 12s. Not gonna overreact into how good I think they're gonna be at Major 3, but I think as of right now, this team definitely is top 6 for me, top 5. And then we get into the top 4 teams. I'm sure people are going to disagree with what I'm about to say. I'm sure people are going to agree. So feel free to let me know in the comments. But for me, I didn't move anybody. I kept them all the same after the way I had it in the last video after Major 2. You know, if you wanted to say you could move Toronto up or drop OpTic because they lost, like if you wanted to do that, I'm not necessarily gonna argue with you over it. But for me, FaZe obviously still number 1. I don't even think we have to talk about that. OpTic, despite losing to FaZe, I still have at number 2 because I just think they're the better team. I mean, we've seen them beat Subliners. We've seen them beat Ultra in recent weeks. Yes, they can't beat FaZe, but for me, I still think OpTic are the number 2 team. And then Ultra and Subliners, I still have Ultra at 4 just because of the performance at the Major. Subliners obviously got top 3. Ultra got top 4 at the Major. So for that reason, I kind of just kept everything the same. I think this is fine. I think this is fair. Like I said, I'm sure people are going to disagree. I already know there's OpTic haters typing in the comments like, oh, OpTic lost and New York and Ultra won, so OpTic should drop down in the rankings. If you want to do that, I guess that's fine. But for me, I mean, they lost to the best team in the game, a team they have not beat yet this year. But I would say OpTic are still better than every other team in the league. But I don't know. Let me know what you think about these power rankings in the comments. What do you agree with or disagree with most? Definitely drop it down below. Let me know any other CDL content you want to see me post. Whatever the case may be, any type of video idea you have, feel free to send it to me on Twitter, Discord, all those links are in the description. Try to just make more content you guys want to see. I appreciate all the support. Like I said, we're on the road to 5K. So thank you everyone who has subbed and watches the videos. And if you're not subbed, consider hitting it. It's absolutely free. And if you like CDL content, this is a good place to be. And yeah, with all that being said, hopefully I'll see you all in the next video.